Welcome to another edition of Ready to Read, Read Aloud, sponsored by Fort Worth Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta. Today's book is Red Dancing Shoes by Denise Lewis Patrick, illustrations by James E. Ransome. After a young girl receives a pair of the finest, reddest, shiniest dancing shoes from Grandma, she gives them muddy on her way to show them to her favorite aunt. Oh no, I wonder how that made her feel. We'll find out from our reader, Bertha Jones. She is a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority, a retired teacher and literacy coach with Fort Worth ISD. She loves reading and teaching reading to children. After you hear her read, you'll love this book and reading too. Now let's jump or dance into another good book.
Hello everyone, my name is Bertha Jones and I'm here to share with you one of my favorite stories. And I brought a prop with me today because it relates to the story that I'm going to read. The title of my story is Red Dancing Shoes. The author is Denise Lewis Patrick, and the paintings in the book are by James E. Ransome. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this book. This book is close to me because it tells a story of a little girl and the relationship with her grandmother. And if you didn't know it, my favorite color is red. So let's get started. Grandma went on a trip, and when she came back, she brought everyone presents. Daddy got a tie, Mama got a yellow blouse, Big Sister got a necklace. But my present was the most special. It was a pair of the finest, reddest, shiniest shoes that anyone had ever seen. "Thank you, Grandmama," I whispered. "They're dancing shoes," Grandmama told me. "Why don't you try them out?" she said. So I did. I did the twist. I did the swim. Big Sister let me wear her dancing skirt so I could spin around and around. Those shoes felt wonderful. They didn't even squeeze my toes. I loved my new red dancing shoes. And I know that feeling of something special that grandmother has given you. Let's find out what's going to happen. Big Sister guessed just what I was thinking. "If you want to show off your shoes," she said, "come go to the store with me." Big Sister walked out the door. I danced. Then I stopped and peeked down at my feet. My red dancing shoes smiled up at me. Before I knew it, those shoes had danced to me all along the road to Miss Josephine's garden. "Miss Josephine, look!" I shouted. "See what Grandmama brought me?" My, said Miss Josephine, rising up from her knees. "Those are the reddest shoes I have ever seen. I believe they are redder than my roses." She clipped off one of her biggest, reddest roses and she gave it to me. My red dancing shoes were redder than her roses. Big Sister helped me put the rose into my hair. Then my red dancing shoes pranced and danced me past the library and past Mr. Kai Frazier's dry cleaners, right up through the big screen door of the grocery store. "That's some fancy footwork, girl," Miss Eva said. "New shoes?" asked Mr. Tony, leaning over the counter. "They're my red new dancing shoes," I told them. "Watch me." And I did the mashed potato, and then I did the jerk. Those are some dances you all probably don't know, and we'll have to practice them in a little bit. I felt a little hot, so Big Sister asked for 2 grape snow cones. Miss Eva piled crunchy ice into the cups. Then she poured juicy purple syrup all over that ice. I bit into my snow cone very carefully. I didn't want a drop of that gooey syrup to get on my new shoes. Big Sister and I started home. "Can we stop at Nan's?" I asked. "I want to show her my dancing shoes." Nan is Grandmama's sister. She's my favorite aunt. She always lets me swing in the big wooden swing on her front porch. We turned the corner, and I could see Nan sitting in her swing. I wanted her to see my red dancing shoes, and I wanted her to see them now. Suddenly, those shoes started running, and I was running too. Nan, look, I shouted. Be careful, Big Sister said. Just as Nan looked up at me, I tripped on a rock. My snow cone flew into the air, splashing ice and purple juicy stuff everywhere. Woof! I fell into the dusty path, making a smoky brown cloud all around me. Nan was off the swing in a second, picking me up. Big Sister was dusting off my clothes, but I looked down at my feet. The beautiful, shiny, wonderful red dancing shoes were sticky and blotchy and muddy. My dancing shoes, I cried. I couldn't take my eyes off my shoes. They didn't look new anymore. They didn't look pretty anymore. I bet they couldn't even dance anymore. Let's sit down, Nan said. So she went inside and brought us glasses of cool lemonade. Do you feel better? She asked. No, I said. I see you have pretty new shoes, she said. Not anymore, I said. Those are her dancing shoes, said Big Sister. I can't dance in them now, I told Nan. Are you sure? She asked me. I turned my toes in. Then I turned my toes out. My littlest toe started feeling funny. It's not the same, I sighed. They used to be shiny and red and new. Let's go into the kitchen, Nan said. She took my hand and smiled her secret smile. Then she sat me on a chair and unbuckled my shoes. She took a cloth and ran some water over it. Next, she slipped her hand into one of my shoes right where my foot ought to be. With one big wipe, she cleaned the mud and blotches right off. She opened a cabinet and took out a jar. But that looks sticky, I frowned. Nan took another clean cloth and dipped it into the gummy mess inside the jar. She patted the cloth on my shoes. Now put them on, she told me. Nan pulled one of my feet into her lap. Then she held the cloth tight and rubbed it back and forth over my shoe. She did the same thing to the other one. All right, she smiled. How do you like your dancing shoes now? I looked, and I blinked, and I looked again. My shiny red shoes are back, I shouted. I jumped off the chair and danced the twist. It's magic, Nan, I said. No, she laughed. Just a little wash and polish. I love my clean, shiny, red dancing shoes. I giggled, spinning around and around. Big Sister looked at Nan's big kitchen clock and said, we'd better get on home. This time, I walked. I did not run. Grandmama was shelling peas on the porch when we came back. Baby, she said, hugging me, I'm so proud of you. You went all the way to the store, and your new shoes still look beautiful. I looked down at my shiny red dancing shoes, and they smiled at me again. Thank you all for being great listeners. I hope you enjoyed the story.